welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to talk a little bit. I ended up switching the exhaust on my Raptor 700. This is a 22 model. I had the Empire duals on there, and the way the pipes route, there is virtually no clearance to keep the speed sensor in there. So Empire gives you a block off plate you put in there. Basically take your speed sensor out, leave it intact, wired up, and tuck it up under the frame. Eventually, you'll get a code 42 speed sensor fault. And, I don't know a lot about the inner workings of the ECU and how it's programmed, but I do know that it's looking for a signal from the output shaft, and when it doesn't see it at a certain RPM and speed, it'll throw the fault. And what that does is, when the light's on, it's retarding your timing or pulling timing from the machine, which then cuts out horsepower. If you want to know about speed sensors, go check out Cuervo ATV. They have a good video explaining the speed sensor, how to get around it on certain models, but as of right now, there's really no workaround for the 22. So the options I had was live with the light every time it come on, remove the exhaust, plug it back in, put the exhaust on, shift through a couple gears, get the light to come off, pull the exhaust off, take the sensor out, and so on. That way you don't damage the wiring and things like that, because literally there is a smidge of clearance, if any. The other option was dent the exhaust pipe so that there's some clearance, wrap it with heat tape or with heat wrap, and then put some heat tape over top the sensor. Where I ride, muddy conditions, getting wet, that's just not a good option for me. So in this video, we are going to put on the Barker's Performance dual kit. I was already set up for a dual exhaust, so I wanted to go with that and find something that works, and Barker's fit the bill. So in this video, we're going to get that installed, show you guys what it sounds like, and then go from there. So stick around. All right, here is our box from Barker's. This is Barker's Performance exhaust. So you guys are going to see it as I see it. So we'll go ahead and get the box caught open there. And we'll see what the contents hold for us. Squirrel, you want to grab that in? I got my assistant down here, my lovely assistant. We got some bubble wrap there. Looks like here's just some literature we'll go through later. Lots of bubble wrap, lots of papers. We'll open these up here in a minute, but here looks like the header pipe. Throw some of this packaging material out of the way here. All right, so I don't want to be obnoxious, so these are the silent cores for this exhaust, and it looks like they even got a spark arrestor screen on there. It's supposed to lower the decibels down about 5 decibels. So here is our clamps. These mufflers take a clamp that mounts to your subframe there. So we got the clamps, some springs, some hardware there. And I did elect to get the blue. We'll see what the cans look like here in a second. Get this out of the way. So here is our dual exhaust pipes here. And I will cut this bubble wrap off camera so you guys can all look at that. But yeah, let's cut to getting some of this bubble wrap off so you guys can see it.
A few moments later.
All right, so we got everything kind of unwrapped there. Just kind of wanted to show you guys here real quick. Here is the head pipe. And again, that's stainless steel. It does have the heat shield already installed. It's got welded tabs on there for the heat shield, so that's going to stay in place. Real nice touch. Both tailpipes also have heat shields. And I did elect for the black powder coating with the blue tips, and I'm hoping that's going to look real nice. You can see the blue Barker logo on there with the blue clamp, so it should give some good contrast. Should still look good. Still should perform even better. And to top it all off, we can still use our speed sensor, and we will not have any check engine lights on our machine, and it's going to run to its fullest potential. So next up, we're going to get this installed on the machine. So stick around and let's get to that. So before we get into the install too much, just wanted to kind of show why I end up going with this exhaust versus the one from Empire. Right here on the back of the block, this is where the speed sensor is. This is what I was referring to. Empire gives you a block off plate. You basically pull the sensor out, zip tie it up out of the way, up under the frame here. Because of the pipe clearance there, you can't keep it in play because it might, burn up your wiring harness, whatever. But like I said, that sensor is needed, at least on the 22. I'm not gonna say that it's everything, but at least on the 22 it's needed. So running that pipe right up against this plastic sensor, just not an option. So anyways, let's get into the installation of the Barker duals. First thing we need to do is get the old exhaust off. Also want to make sure up in your cylinder head there's it looks like a copper washer that goes into your, basically seals up your exhaust pipe to your cylinder head. Want to make sure that's still in play. And then also keep your fasteners for the studs off of your cylinder head because we're going to reuse those on the head pipe for the new exhaust. Now for those of you guys that are still running the parking brake, that is this cable here runs back to the brake caliper and then up to the lever on your handlebars. So in the instructions, Barker's wants us to bend this bracket and push it down a little bit just to gain some more clearance through here. I'm just going to take a set of pliers. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So as you can see, I just kind of took my pliers in there and gave it a little squeeze, pushed it down. It's not a super heavy duty bracket by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not damaging the cable. It does have some armor on it, so hopefully that's enough clearance. We'll know once we get the head pipe put in place, and that's going to be the next step that we do now. So to get the front head pipe on easier, we're just going to go ahead and remove the fastener here on the front fender. Just take it off, and then we will be able to manipulate that fender around a little bit to get the head pipe on. All right, so there we go. We'll get that fastener out of the way, and what we're going to want to do is put the rear of the pipe in first. So you're kind of threading a needle here. Once you kind of really wiggle it like so, we'll move our fender up out of the way and get it threaded in just like so. All right, so we got it kind of threaded the needle there, got it up in there. Went ahead and put the nuts on the stud. One thing that we're going to do, we need to be aware of, there's a bracket here that's welded onto the head pipe. It's going to go into this bracket here, so we're going to take this nut out, this bolt out, and apply it into that bracket there, and then we'll see what kind of clearances we got. I'm real curious to look and see what clearance we're going to have by the speed sensor, again, because that was the reason we ended up going with this exhaust. We wanted the duals, and we wanted to be able to run our speed sensor, so we didn't throw any check engine codes. So again, we're going to take this bolt here out of our clutch bracket. It's an 8mm. So just go ahead and loosen it up. I didn't have for some reason I couldn't find my 1/4" drive socket set, but you just got to be careful. Again, this is all aluminum, so we're not going to get overzealous with tightening things down. You see it's kind of a long bolt there. So what we want to do is take our pipe and get it. We have to loosen I finger tighted my nuts up front here a little bit. But we want to be able to maneuver this around a little bit and get it set we may need to loosen this up even more, because what we want to do is we want to make sure that bolt hole is centered up. There we go. And we'll go ahead and reinstall this. And then in the instructions it says go ahead and tighten it up, but don't tighten up your head bolts or your head nuts that are on your studs until you get this bolt tight. Then we'll look at the back and check our clearances. So you can see we got plenty of clearance there with our speed sensor. And one thing I did, it's not in the instructions, but if you see the bracket there that holds the wires going up into the engine compartment, I went ahead and reversed that. Got a big truck going by here. I went ahead and reversed that clamp around just to put those wires further away from the exhaust, just to make sure we have plenty of room there, that we're not gonna have any issues with melting wires and things like that. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put the clamps onto the cans. And these clamps are billet aluminum, so you wanna spread them apart a little bit so you can slide them easily over the can. I just put a socket in there as a spacer, so you can see it moves nice and freely. So next we're gonna take our tape measure, and according to the instructions, let me grab them here. Hopefully you guys can read this, but we're gonna take a measurement from the front side of the clamp here. One thing to note too is make sure that you have your mounting tab to the back side or to the inside of the bike, away from the logo. But we're gonna take a measurement from the front side of the clamp to the base of the can here, and they are wanting 5 5/8 inches. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that set. I'll pull out my spacer here, and we'll get both of them done, and then we're probably pretty close to mounting these on the bike. So I went ahead and got both of the cans just loosely mounted, got them in the slip joints on the Y pipe or the splitter pipe down at the base. So again, these are still loose. Just got everything kind of roughed in. And now we're gonna go ahead and just make sure that our splitter section is centered up pretty good on the rear shock. And then we'll work forward and tighten up the the nuts up there on the header pipe, and we'll kind of work our way back. From there, we got some springs to install yet. So yeah, so far so good, very easy. Fit is pretty darn good. On my bike, I'm running the FCI airbox. So there was a little bit of concern with some clearance right here. I mean, you can't design parts to fit with every other aftermarket part. So what I did is kind of heated that up with a heat gun a little bit, wrapped a magazine around the pipe, just kind of snugged it up, let it cool down, and then I've got plenty of good clearance back here between the airbox and the pipe. Again, if you're running a factory airbox without a lid, I know Barker's, that's pretty much how they sell their big three. I already had the airbox on my FCI intake, so I just had to heat that corner up a little bit, and again, I just wrapped a magazine around it, tightened it up, let it cool down, and I've got good clearance there, so pretty simple. So on this setup, you're gonna have 2 springs that's gonna hold the pipes together at the splitter. If you don't have a spring puller, I just took an old demo tool I had here, and I took a grinder and put a notch in it, and it works good for springs. That's what I've been using for years now. Pretty simple, but we're gonna take the spring, get it looped up into one of the hoops there, and then we're just gonna pull tight and get it set on just like that. And there's another one on the back side here, so we're gonna go ahead and get that one put on now. Get the spring on the back side. This one's a little tricky, but if you're done, it's nice with this this tool I made here because it's nice and long to reach back in there. You're gonna pull this spring up. Make sure you got it going the right direction here. Yep. I'm gonna pull this spring up here. I gotta get in a better position. And just like so. All right, so we got our springs on. Now we're gonna work up front, get the header tightened down. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and tighten up our header pipe here. One thing that I did do is make sure I had good clearance and that the splitter was, centered up on the rear shock. So you can make that adjustment just as long as you don't have, everything tight already. All right, guys, let's do a start of the exhaust. So I did buy the spark arrestor slash silent core for these pipes. Barker's recommends that you run it for a couple hours. Make sure that you get all the packing burn in so you don't clog up your spark arresters. So we're going to leave them out for a little bit until we get it all broke in real good. So if you guys remember when I put the Empire duals on without the silent cores, they're around 100 decibels at an idle. With the silent cores, they're around 95. So right there flirting with the line of what's legal, where I ride primarily here in Central Ohio. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start it up. This is without the silent cores. We're gonna use my phone app again, see what kind of decibel readings we get, and we'll kind of go from there. So it looks like these are going to average around 97.8, 98 decibels without the silent cores. Putting those in, we should see about a 5 to 6 decibel reduction, which is going to put us well within where I need to be here in Central Ohio riding in the National Forest and things like that. So I'm pretty stoked about that. You know, with the Empire duals, they were much louder, and even with the silent cores, they were, like I said, flirting with that fine line. Probably been okay, but we're probably better off going this route anyways. So a couple things I want to show you guys on the exhaust. So here is the most important thing about the exhaust. I can run my speed sensor. I don't know if you can see it back in here. No problem. Tons of clearance between the pipe, my wire harness, tons of clearance there. So we can run the speed sensor, not get the speed sensor fault, not have our timing retarded from the ECU. So completely good to go. So in the backside here, again, I'm running the FCI airbox with their intake, and there was a slight touch right there on the pipe with this particular airbox. So what I did is I just took a heat gun, heated it up. I wrapped a magazine around the pipe and just snugged up the clamp up top here, put some pressure on that airbox, let that cool down, and I've got a good 1/4 inch of clearance all the way around the pipe, so I'm not worried about that. You know, this is an aftermarket box, these are aftermarket exhaust. You know, they're not going to design everything to work in conjunction with one another, but very easy, no big deal. So another pretty cool feature that I like about this exhaust over the Empire exhaust is it comes with heat shields on both sides of the bike at the rear, and then one right here with your legs. So that's a nice touch. Overall fit and finish, very good. Everything lined up just like it's supposed to. Guys, take a look at those welds. They look really good. The bike seems just as snappy with the Empire pipes. So there you go. We'll get some more ride time on this and see if I notice any performance change from the Empires. Right now, I just rode it around just a little bit just to kind of heat cycle the pipe a little bit. Make sure that my speed sensor fault went out, and it sure did. Just plugging it back in, it actually turned back on, you know, within like the first time I shifted in second gear, it turned the light off and everything felt pretty good. But that is the Barker's dual exhaust. I did opt for the black powder coat, the oval cans with the blue tip, blue tag, and the blue billet clamps. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. As you can see, the exhaust install was pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Sounds good, just a fuzz quieter than my Empires. My Empires had the silent cores in them, so it's just a fuzz quieter than that with the silent cores in it. I do have the silent cores and spark arresters that I will be getting put on the machine just because the trails that we ride locally, spark arresters required, so we want to make sure that we're doing our part and preserving our forest, not throwing sparks and things like that. So we'll get those put on. But before we put those on, Barker's recommends that you run the machine for at least 2 hours to get all the packing material, everything kind of burnt and put into place. Because if you don't, some of that material inadvertently will come out and it can plug up your spark arrestor and cause other issues. Now, as far as my tuning, basically I'm using the same map that was on my Empire duals. Seems to be Actually, it seems to be a little bit snappier with this exhaust setup, probably because just a little bit more, maybe a smaller diameter pipe, maybe more exhaust profile. I'm sorry, muffler profile. Not sure, or if it's just me, but seems a little bit snappier. If you guys like these videos, hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell for notifications. We appreciate all that very much. But coming up, we got some more Raptor content. We're heading down to Wayne National Forest here in a week or so, and then we're also heading back down to Kearney, Virginia, taking the Raptor down there to do some riding on the Coal Canyon trail system. We were there a few weeks ago on X3. If you guys seen that video, I thought it'd be a good time. I got family there, so it's real nice and convenient. Going to take this down and ride the trail system on the Raptor, so looking forward to that. But until next time, guys.